All right, we're on Chapter 2, Section 3, Diesel Electric Locomotive Aipd course, starting with 233, General Troubleshooting the schematic method of locating with the cause of the trouble, and an unserviceable locomotive is repaired with the repair of the vague complaints. Also, malfunction. The repairman will be expected to diagnose the problem. He also soon to learn that certain symptoms can cause by one of the serve these several things. This can check these things to determine what is at fault in the section, given some of the most commonly functions of a locomotive listed that they are likely to cause. This is intended to serve the general guideline of specification for each of the pieces of the equipment and vary. The operator must check his operation maintenance manual before taking any corrective action. He must report any trouble that he or his crew is not authorized to correct to organizational maintenance. 234, a faulty engine operation. The troubleshooting with the engine operation can arise from many things. Satisfactory operation depends upon good compression, pressure, and injection, proper amount of the fuel at right time, and loss of compression. Faulty engine action can cause a lack of the engine power, uneven running, of the excessive vibration, and tendency to solve them when idling. The following troubles, a list of the possible causes remedies are given to assist the mechanical in diagnosing an engine trouble, correcting it. One, refuses to start. If the engine fails to start, it usually means either the weak or the battery's insufficient air pressure. The loss of compression is often used to dry piston, or a small amount of the oil should be introduced into the cylinders. If the engine still fails to start, check the fuel system of the air for the air locks, and the airlock of the low pressure pipe that can be cleared by the opening of the prime valve of the pump in the high pressure pipeline by slacking back in the delivery pipe union at the nut injector while the engine is turned over a few times. When poor starting gets worse, it probably caused by the valve trouble. The maintenance and only remedy at a temperature below 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Check the cold weather starting aids. B, irregular running. Several defects can cause irregular running. Some of these are an engine valve sticking the opening or the atomizer air in one of the high pressure injector pipes, a sticky fuel pipe, or delivery valve, water in the fuel oil, uneven running of the excessive vibration, faulty injector time racking system, insufficient fuel supply, hunting governor, removal of all binding injector contracting control racking operating shaft mechanism, cool watering temperature too low, check the thermostat, and 5, valve in bad condition, check for the compression pressures. 6, high exhaust back pressure, checking the exhaust pressure at the exhaust manifold. 7, one of the more cylinders cutting out, determining the cylinders are cutting out, and check the valve spring for the bad cylinder, replace the injector with the new one, and check the compression. 8, with water in the fuel system. 8, D, stalling, idle speed too low, cooling the water temperature too low, too sudden application at low speeds, one or more cylinders cutting out, governors hunting or overcapacitating for removing the binding of the injector contractor rack of the operating shaft mechanism, choke fuel oil filters, unsatisfactory injectors, replaced with reconditioned injectors, improperly governed adjustment governor linkage incorrectly set, air in fuel system inspection system for leaks. E, loss of power, injector racks but are not properly positioned, faulty injector timing of one of the more and cylinders cutting out, and air filters choked, insufficient fuel supply, check the fuel oil sub filter, air in the fuel system unsatisfactory, injectors improperly governed, and adjustment, loss of compression. F, will not shut off, gradually development of the condition of the normally operation, usually caused by the misalignment of the external control leakage. When a stop is attempted, the engine continues to run, sometimes below idle, diluted oil into the air boxes and hot engine. G, engine knock detonates. Because of the diesel high compression, its characteristic sound is sometimes mistaken for the knock. Detecting the true knocking of the placing a screwdriver or against the engine with the other end of the ear, listening to the engine sound of the various position of the hammering in the diesel can cause by either fuel with mechanical knocks. If a hard metallic knock indicates a detonation in one or more of the cylinders, the engine should be immediately stopped and prevented the serious damage from the excessive pressures accompanying detonation. Detonation is caused by the presence of the fuel and oil and lubricating oil in the air in charge of the cylinders during the compression stroke. The engine should be checked for 1. A, leaky injectors. B, leaking fuel connections in the cylinder head. C, the crankcase dilution of the oil to fuel leaks. D, the leak blower housing gasket. E, the lower leaky blower oil seals. 5, F, the control rack improperly adjusted. G, the hydraulic valve lash adjuster sticking. Two, mechanical knocks may be caused by loose or worn piston rings, bearings, blow by loose wheels. In two-cycle engine locking will be hard to loosen the connection rod bearing because of the down pressure will be pressure on the piston, both the upstroke and the compression on the downstroke combustion to isolate the connection rod to hold down the injector plunger and the cutting out the injection on the cylinder suspected that any of the loose of the bearing will be here. Does not turn over. Battery and control switch are open. The battery control fuses are blown. Battery weak. The electrical connections are poor and the engine start switch is defective. J, the turns over but does not fire. Fuel supply exhausted. Fuel lines broken and fouled. Fuel lines are airbound. Fuel filter plugged. Emergency fuel shutoff is closed and fuel pump not running in the check. C, one, fully supply the exhaust fuel stops. If the fuel supply exhausted, fuel line broken, the fuel filter plugged, lubrication, oil pressure low, engine obstructed bar, engine over the C that is not blocked, faulty governor and throttle leakage, governor inoperative, in check fuel racks. K, overspeeds, faulty governor, improper fuel pump rack settings, and overspeed tripping settings. Overheats, water low, check for the leakage, refills, radiator plug, lubricated oil not cooling properly, fan not operating properly, heating exchange, lubricating oil cooler plugged, the shutters closed, engine overload, water hose collapsed, replace and erase it before packing up and loaded, main generator field defective, exhaustion fails to build up properly. 235, locomotive operation. The locomotive does not move the engine running or the throttle opening. The brake is not released. The battery control switch is open. The electrical connection is poor. Reverse lever is in neutral. Moves very slowly. Drag too heavy to cut off cars. Brake not fully released. The main generators are not delivering full power. Remain in low speed. The traction motor not making transition. All traction motors are not operating. Move with the throttle valve stuck at the opening closed by hand and an open control switch and apply brakes. 236, trouble develops with the motor. Ensure that the bearings are good in condition. No mechanical obstruction prevents the rotation shaft turns freely. All bolts and nuts are tight and securely. Current voltage and actually availability of the motor terminal voltage drops and it must be not below 10% of the rated voltage. Fuses are good and connections are tight. The brushes make contact with the communicator. Do not bind in the brush holder. Armature in the frame is not grounded, and check the mega ohm meter. 237, dirty smoke. Black smoke will appear when the engine is greatly accelerated, but the blue smoke is commonly on starting if necessary. Therefore, to run the engine for a while at a low speed under the loads before assessing the exhaust. Dense black smoke means incomplete with the combustion of the fuel, perhaps due to the overloading of the engine or to deliver the valve with the fuel pump being struck at the open due to too much fuel entering the cylinder. Gray smoke is caused by the bad injection timing and dirty spray nozzles. Blue smoke indicates the excessive lubricating oil burning into the combustion chamber. The excessive oil may be due to the overfilled sump or faulty piston ring. 238, battery does not charge, blown battery or charging generator fuse, faulty electrical circuit, faulty generator brushes. 239, air pressure does not build up, main reserve drain valve is open, brake pipe angle cock was open, pilot valve stuck open, underload valve stuck open, compressed belt slip or a broken in valve faulty compressor. B, building up slowly, long trains require a long time to charge. 2, compressor belt slipping, underload valve stuck open, broken pipe and loose fittings, faulty governor. 240, a lower braking power, too much brake cylinders, piston travel to faulty piston, worn brake shoes, low braking cylinder, broken pipe, cylinder pipe, brakes hold after a release application, brake pipe under the charge and full, faulty distribution valve, brakes reapply after regular release, brake pipe overcharged, may partial brake application return handling to running position. 2, faulty feeded valve, brake cylinder pressure too high, feed valve stuck and distributing valve sticks. 241, lubrication. A, lack of pressure. 1, oil supply in the crankcase is low. Crankcase is oil diluted. Wear on the crankshaft on the connection rod of the bearings. Lubricating oil pump. The relief valve sticking in the oil cooler. Chocked. Oil pump screen choked. Oil pump driving inoperative. Oil lines choked, improperly tightened, leaking. B, highly temperature high, cooling temperature water, clogged oil cooler bypass not operating. 242, summary. Although locomotive troubleshooting usually shows up in the engine operating first, the trouble source is not in the engine, and the troubles in the fuel system, air system, electrical system. In fact, the all phases of the locomotive operation cause the engine to run unevenly and not all improper lubrication, the cooling, and all or other common source of the trouble whether the defects experienced in the repair work helps the repairman to relocate it. And that is the diesel subcourse TM 0656 edition 5 diesel electric locomotive Aipd training course.